of YuunaTuna, who's playing Winston and Diva, mostly Diva, on Havana. And this is their placements. They're not sure of the exact skill tier. Their guess is a silver or gold. Having seen the first few minutes of this video, I hate to break it to you, but I would guess that this is probably no higher than low silver and likely high bronze based on looking at people aim and their decision making. Description of the match, or things you want reviewed. I usually play tank for fun, and only play tank here because I want to take a break from support. It's also a comp game. Looking at the stats alone, it's hard to tell. That's why I decided to come for a VOD review. While it may not really help much, as I don't plan on playing tank and ranked often, I would like to know how to regulate using my skill cooldowns more wisely. When and where would be a good time to diva bomb, when to dive, when should I be helping teammates if they're flanked. I watched the replay and noticed a lot of my mistakes are simply not keeping track of enemy ultimate cooldowns properly, and a lot of times bad positioning. If possible, I would also like to know the biggest mistake I made in the game that may be the biggest contribution to losing it as offense. So, I think you identify some significant mistakes here, right? Obviously, bad positioning, etc. I haven't seen all of them, but that is a good place to start. But let's take a look and see what we find. So for starters, you're going to play Winston here. I don't think Winston is good on this first point because I think it's very linear and there's no high ground that is relevant until you get all the way over here. And on defense, you typically don't need to worry about that at all because this high ground is not useful against the defense team at all. So I would not play Winston here. I think Winston is a bad call. Is it playable? It is playable. I think you actually do a reasonable job here. I would just note that this is an incredibly dangerous spot to stand. It's like, yes, you get to zap them when they come out the door, but for example, if they have like a Hog Reaper, you get hooked and then you die instantly before you can even push any buttons, right? You get hooked, you get shot in the face, the Reaper shoots you in the face, and then you're dead or dying, and then as you jump away, you die. I would not do this. At a minimum, until I knew what their team comp was, I think this is a very, very dangerous play. But you're going to try it, and it's going to work out for you reasonably well, actually. I think that's very surprising. I think this dive is bad, number one. So, for starters, you say that you don't play tank very often. Winston is a fairly technical tank. There's a lot of technique to the way that he jumps, and in particular, I don't think you know how to short jump. So you see how you jump way too far, because when you land, you do 50 damage. But this didn't damage anybody because you went too far. I feel like you probably wanted to land right here, but you don't have any control over your jumping. So I'm going to just note that for now. I will link a guide on how to do it, but that is a major problem. I'd say that this is a major problem akin to like if you play soldier and you can't aim and you're like, how big a deal is this? I would say it's a huge deal because it's a critical part of the hero. And for Winston, I think all the way up until Diamond, 85% of his play is when and where do I jump and bubble. Like everything else is really relevant. Like you literally, I bet I could get the Diamond and like basically not pop ulti at all. I could probably try this on an alternate account. But I feel like you could at least get the platinum without popping ultimate at all, just from understanding when and where to jump and how to bubble. With the mild changes that getting the health back will be helpful. Like if the health could reset you back to 500 with no ulti, like I think that would probably be okay. So this is a bad jump because you jumped too far. You didn't actually put any damage down. The bubble isn't really doing anything. And you're applying pressure to the only person here who can get healed, right? The Mercy's healing the soldier, so like it's not actually that big a deal. He puts on heal station, which is unnecessary. This is one of the reasons why I also feel like this is very low rank, because this heal station is totally unnecessary. You're just not doing very much. Compared to if you landed right here in their face and then started zapping these two, instead of doing 60 damage a second, you hit 2 targets, you do 120 damage a second, which is a really big deal. And then you probably force Swift Step or Suzu or whatever else here, which would be a lot more value to your team versus just doing this, which is basically irrelevant. The soldier could have literally never attacked you. Like he could have just ignored you and just shot the backline and been fine, because you can't out damage Mercy's healing. Winston really doesn't do very much healing, despite how it might feel to people who are, or much damage, despite how it might feel to people who get actually attacked by Winston. I do like that you came back, that's good. So I think you understand the core gameplay loop of like, fight the enemy, come back to your team, get healed, repeat. I think standing open here is very dangerous. It's lucky that no one's attacking you. I think you see the Mercy here. I think your landing is not great. So she's already flying, so you should have been landing to the right, and you could have landed right on top of her and then melee canceled, which I'm pretty sure you also don't know the technique, so that's something else to note. And then you would have instantly killed the Mercy instead of having her survive here with 50 health, which causes her to not die. And obviously a kill is much bigger difference than not a kill. So they have Reaper here. You're getting killed up. Again, front of the cart, really good spot to play for a lot of tanks. You can zap, and then you're pretty safe against most things. Again, another jump where I'm pretty sure you did not mean to go that far because you don't know how to short jump. And then you don't really use the bubble well. You should have really stayed in the bubble. But the problem is that you try to chase these two that are too far away. And I think, again, your lack of experience tells you, like, I can already tell right away they're too far away for the zap to get to them. It's not even close. It's only around here. So you're kind of wasting ammo and taking damage here for no reason. Reaper's here. You force Wraith. Great. Winston's in your face. Again, another not so great jump. You see the bubble is like basically not helpful at all. Like it's bubbling off your team, which would be great if people were shooting at your team. But you see like everyone here is shooting at you except for the Reaper, who really should be shooting at you, which is again another reason why I think this is bronze. Like at any other level, if a Winston jumps on top of a Reaper, the Reaper would immediately turn and just kill the Winston. That Reaper can kill you in 3-4 shots alone. So it's kind of crazy that he does not go after you, which I think is very lucky, and then you kill him here, which is also not supposed to happen. He dies, despite the fact that he has Wraith right here, right? Again, just hit Wraith right now, he's totally fine. Doesn't even hit it. I suspect this also might be console. I'm not 100% sure, but based on aiming, I think this is console. You never want to do this thing where you jump out. Like, you see how you're just standing in open zapping like this? It's so much more effective to stay on the cart zapping. So you want to apply as much pressure to them as possible. Pressure in the form of damage. Damage, damage, damage. Okay? Over here, you're doing maybe 60 damage a second. But if you had been right here, you're doing 120 plus damage. And then if you're over here, you do 180 damage a second by zapping all three of these. So try to find ways that you can cleave, right, with your Tesla cannon, more enemies at once. Again, that would have been a big jump, right into the center of them, put bubble down. You split all four of them in different directions, do a ton of damage. Plus, you burst damage, like 200 damage right away from the jump. Mercy's rezzing. You can't really stop it. You do as much damage as you can. Okay, you don't bubble right now, which means you must play it safe. Again, very lucky to not take more damage, which makes me think that this is bronze / console. You're going for the Winston here, which is not the correct call. So the Winston goes in. It's not your job to deal with Winston. Again, Winston does very little damage. You do 60 damage, so 60 damage a second. So for perspective, including armor, it will take you about 10 seconds to kill a Winston. So don't even bother zapping him, right? Just zone out the rest of the team here. That's your job right now, is to prevent the rest of the team from doing anything. Coming back to the Winston allows these folks to be free, right? They're going to push forward, and now you see how you're trying to deal with like this Winston Reaper in the back line. It's just not working, and your team gets walked over. So right here, you make a weird call because there's a Mega Health Pack, but you decide to just stand here and not get the Mega for unclear reasons. You start taking damage, the Mercy comes after you, you still have an opportunity to get the Mega. I'm going to guess that you don't know the Mega is there, based on the fact that you die right now. So it's important to learn the map, right? Obviously, having that Mega, not dying there is absolutely massive and prevents you from getting a good contest on this next point. Because now you lost one of your teammates before you even got there, so this is a stagger because there was a 4-on-5 situation, which could have been a 5-on-5 if you just grabbed the Mega. For this jump in, I think this is okay. I probably would have tried to land on top of the cart and then bubble over here. So you see how you kind of step in front of the bubble initially, and you see how they're able to get back. If you landed over here, because they're going to start backing up when you jump in. That's a good general assumption. So I want to be able to follow them as they go back. Versus here, you see how very quickly you can only zap just the Winston. If you had landed right here, you can see that would immediately split the team. You bubble them off, you zap the supports, right? Then you zap the front line, and then probably people die here. Versus this bubble, not aggressive enough, right? This jump, not aggressive enough. And people are able to kind of walk away and ignore it. Again, when and where to jump, absolutely massive on Winston. It will take you literally hundreds of hours to learn that skill. So you hit the pull there, which is a big deal. You're going to need to pop ulti, sort of. I mean, the problem is that there's like not enough people alive. It's a 4-on-5, 4-on-4. Where's the last one? Yeah, it's 4-on-4, 4-on-4, so it's winnable. So you decide to pop ulti here. You go after the Kiriko, which I call, again, jump mechanics very clearly not polished. So what you should have done is you should have done a short jump, landed, and then done a swing, right? Which would have done 90 damage right here instead of just 50. If you got that, I think she actually blinked out, so you actually got nothing. Then you're gonna jump again. A very common mistake for Winston is that you aim too high, so you whiff everyone with that punch. Now you're going after the soldier who cannot die. Again, even Primal Rage Winston does not do very much damage, and you basically waste that hold. Alright, so let's rewind back and watch the ultimate from the very beginning. So you zap, you hit the Kiriko, right? That's one punch for 40 damage, right? Looks like you actually got 50 there from the landing, so that's 90 damage. Now you jump, you hit her for 40, so that's 130 damage. You hit the soldier for 170 damage. You do another 210 damage, so another 40. And then your ultimate ends. So you popped ultimate to do 210 damage, no kills, and I don't think you got anybody below half. So that's a huge waste of ultimate. It's barely better than if you didn't ultimate at all, unfortunately. Primal Rage, an incredibly difficult ultimate to use. I would probably say it is the hardest ultimate to use in the entire game. Trying to think of another one that's harder. I mean, Widow, theoretically, since the sense that like Widow doesn't actually help you do anything, it just gives you ability to see people through walls. But in terms of like an ultimate that you need to actively use, I think Primal Rage is the hardest ultimate to use in the game. And there's not an easy way for me to coach it up. Again, I'll link a video that will explain how to execute jumps, but also how to Primal Rage and juggle effectively. And if you want to play Winston, you should practice, because you're not going to get that many chances to actually practice Primal Rage in games. Again, not your job to deal with Winston right now. You should have immediately dove over here and gone after the backline. So you going to Winston is not really generating any pressure for your team. So the Genji was in, so you should have dove the same target as the Genji, right? Once he starts blading over here, you should have tried to kill the Mercy. Right? The Mercy Kiriko here on the right. You see how you're going to land short and on the other side of the truck, which is going to protect them from that damage. So the Mercy is 75 health. If you landed on the truck, she takes 50, plus melee is 30, plus that's 80 damage, would insta-kill the Mercy. Fighting the Reaper is the worst possible target. This only works because the Reaper literally doesn't attack you. You see? Like, that Reaper looks worse than a bot. It looks like, honestly, it looks like a little kid playing Overwatch for the first time. We're gonna get some kills out of this. Zapping the soldier, great. And we're gonna kill this Mercy, cool. Reaper's coming back in. Bubble, okay, cool. Don't walk through the bubble, yeah, because like Reaper really can wreck you. You should reload now. Zap. So I would assume Reaper has ulti here. Yep. So when Reapers do this thing where they just ray forward into your team, the middle of your team, they always have ulti. Like it's very clearly going to be an ulti. So I would just pop bubble and then stay on the opposite side of the bubble. You see how you walked out of it, which means you take a lot of damage here, and then you get killed by the Reaper. So you swap D.Va. Okay, so let's talk about D.Va. So again, D.Va, great burst, also good close range damage, but otherwise she doesn't really have good damage mitigation besides that. There's no reason to be taking this fight. This is a 5-on-1 right now. Again, you see, or 4-on-1. You see, there's literally nobody here. You've already taken, 200-ish damage that you're just feeding ult charge to do absolutely nothing. Then you let the Ryan pin you, which is no good. You fly out right away, which is a good call. I think you flew too far. I think you could have flown up to here, for example, and start shooting the Ryan in the back, which would have been great. Like, think about it. You're right here. You're going to do 200, 300, 400 damage by now. Great opportunity to do a lot of damage. Don't pop missiles to destroy shields, as a general rule. Pop missiles to try to kill people. Mercy's here. I think it was probably the right call, honestly, to just chase the Mercy. Like, you got plenty of health. I think the Mercy is moving in a predictable path. I chase in here, bump her, you already done 100 damage, and chase her down and kill her. You can't stop this Ryan. I think that what's really important is that if the Ryan wants to move forward, you as D.Va cannot stop the Ryan. So I would have just gone after the Mercy. Again, don't use missiles to destroy shields. So, okay, this was a mistake. You definitely should not have landed on low ground. I don't think it's intentional, though. I think you meant to stop on high ground, and then you just went too far. Yeah, it looks like this is a mistake. But obviously, being close range against Orion's no good. You get pinned, you take a lot of damage again. Keep in mind, you're putting a lot of pressure on your supports to constantly keep healing you, which is also going to reduce healing from the rest of the team. Don't use missiles from far away. Use missiles really up close, like very, very, very close to kill him. That forces Trance out. Again, your missiles are being wasted. Like, this is a good opportunity to use missiles if you know the Reaper doesn't have Wraith. But he does have Wraith, so not so good otherwise. So right now, great opportunity to use missiles. You can kill this Ryan very quickly. You know he doesn't have shields. You could use it to kill the Mercy right now very quickly. Again, bad missiles, right? You see how you're so far away from the Ryan, so it's really hard to get the missiles to connect. You see how most of the missiles just go into the wall. You throw Diva Bomb here, but you don't even need Diva Bomb. I think your Genji's already bladed. So this is already a 5 on, or it's a 4 on 4 situation. Yeah, but your Genji's blading, right? Now it's 4 on 3. Now you pop it, even though your Genji's still actively blading. Plus his Reaper should die because he's super, super low, right? This is basically a 4 on 2. So unnecessary Diva Bomb. You also put it in a location where it's very lucky the Ryan even got hit by that. He could have shielded it off easily. You should have obviously sent it, like, popped it in the air and blown it up over here, which takes a lot of technique to figure out how to do that. It would be roughly a 50% boost into the air at an angle that looked like this. Probably even more than 50% would be my guess. Probably like a 60% boost that way, which would be very, very hard to pull off, even for an experienced Diva player. You did a good job flying into her, stopping that right away. I think I want to go back here. So I think when you're flying into her like that, you actually should release Matrix when you fly into her face, because she'll just kill herself from the splash damage. But a little unfortunate. Do not let this Pharah fly away. I would immediately have flown over the top to make sure she dies before she hooks up with her home team. This Pharah has to die. Ooh, you're not being aggressive enough. Genji luckily gets it. Playing spot. I mean, this is a fine spot for now. You want to be able to play closer to cover. Yeah, I think this is good. Again, another waste of missiles. Right? If you have missiles right now, just fly in. You just kill this Mercy. Right? She's nowhere to fly to. If you had missiles, you fly in. This Mercy dies. Like, guaranteed. There's nothing she can do to escape you. Reaper's here. Right? Just Matrix. Again, you should read. Hey, the Reaper's gonna Wraith forming in. Whenever he does this, he's gonna be ulting. Just start Matrixing as soon as it's about to end, and then your Zen doesn't die there, and the Reaper dies. So that would be a save, which would be absolutely huge and would help you win this fight. Virtually guarantees you win the fight, in fact. I think you make your life too complicated here. So Ryan charges in, so you should fly up. You could either continue going after the Mercy, but if you're like, hey, it's too far, that's fine. Just land behind the Ryan and just stand right here and shoot into his back. So Diva, at close range, assuming you land all the shots and no headshots and you're using missiles, does about 217 damage per second, I think. So the Ryan will die from you alone in about 2.5 seconds. So because there's no other supports healing him, you can just stand right here and this Ryan will be dead. And if he turns towards you to shield, he'll just die from behind. So very easy kill here that you kind of give up. Right? You're like way too obsessed with like trying to protect your team with Matrix versus just killing the Ryan. Again, right here, I would still kill the Ryan. Right? He's still extremely low. The Mercy's like the only one trying to kill. I think it's gonna be tough to dive in here and get a kill. Right? You see, you're popping missiles at just like the worst times. Like everyone is bounced off your screen. Now you activate missiles and you're just wildly swinging it around. And you see how you don't land like even 25% of those missiles. So Ryan's gonna have Shatter. Oh, actually, Shatter, that's fine. I would assume he would have Shatter otherwise. So you should get out of the way. No. So when he's coming for you, just stop shooting, right? Because that way you don't have to boost. You slow move speed, and you run here. You can even drop low ground. Like there's a lot of options here that are not just stand here and eat the charge. Bastion's here, stopping that. I think that the right call here would have been to go for probably the Junkrat would be my guess. You can't realistically stop the Ryan right now. I think flying up here, getting the Junkrat's face and popping missiles to kill him or force him off high ground would have been the best call. You waste another set of missiles that does absolutely nothing. I wish I had my Diva guide ready because I think that'd be very helpful for you to watch. But you can watch other people's like Diva play to see what like Diva play is supposed to look like, the style. Said, as a good rule of thumb, when Junks die, pop Matrix after they die to eat those like 6 grenades at the end, just in case. You never know when somebody will walk over it, including yourself. All right, so now you're on offense, and you're playing Ramatra. Okay, I did not expect that. You did not mention that in your video. So I think you need to be closer to the corner here. So this is a bad call. The reason being is like the team is simply not softened enough that Nemesis is going to do a whole lot right now. Maybe actually, maybe it's a little more effective. I didn't stop blocking right now. You're full health or nearly full health. But I would have probably gone for another staff cycle, another like full, draining of the ammo before I pop Nemesis. You have to stop eating fire strikes. So the Ryan is at 50% ulti right now because you keep walking the fire strikes. You're only at 28%. And then it does a lot of damage to you. You get low. Sorry, sneezing. So I think the other thing to look at is like, okay, they have a super high damage lineup. I don't even know that I can try to stay alive here. And with the rest of my team dead, I think I want to be pulling back way before this. You are going to live, I think. Nope. So you could have lived here if you if you did a 90-degree turn at the corner. If you went here and just went right around the corner, I think. But because you kind of walk in a straight line, yeah, you see, you get kind of caught up there, and then you can't get around the corner, and then you die. So you could have lived there for sure. I would encourage you, especially since you don't play tank very much, I would say just stick to one tank. Like, if you like playing D.Va, just play D.Va. But trying to play multiple tanks and learn them all at once is a nightmare, especially if you're newish to Overwatch. Again, you see another missiles that doesn't do anything. Alright, so you traded 1 for 1, which is good because you have short spawn. So you should try to get up the cart right now and start forcing the cart forwards. Because these missiles are not doing anything. Okay, so the Rhine is super overcommitted, so I would go in right now and try to kill the Rhine. I would fly over here while I'm killing the turret, fly in behind the Rhine, and just kill him. You see how low he is? Oh! Yeah, like if you see a Rhine charge away from his team like that is almost always a mistake. You could have just flown in here and killed him at any moment in time, and it would have saved your jump grab too. Like, those plays are absolutely huge, right? If you kill that Rhine, like, you win this fight, and you don't have to worry about anything else that happens after that. Sim pops wall. You're kind of waiting for healing. Your Zen trances you here, which is a weird... Oh, it's because of Tire. Okay, so not great aim, which is to be expected, since you don't play tank very much. Alright, so again, missiles from way too far away. Blades popped. So you should not be holding Matrix right now. So the moment that Genji blades in, I immediately boost and fly forwards and then get ready to hold Matrix over him. Because the #1 goal here, like, my life is irrelevant. All I have to do is keep Genji alive. You should already be here holding Matrix over him the whole time. Right? And then holding over here, and then he lives anyway, which is lucky. D.Va, by the way, is not a great pick here because they have Symmetra, which is going to melt you every time you try to face her. Yeah, you see, the Symmetra does so much damage against you. Again, another missiles. Like, you see those missiles like don't result in kills, and that should be your perspective: is did the missiles actually get close to killing somebody, or did it actually kill somebody? Popping missiles from that far away, not so great. Bastion's getting wrecked here. I would Matrix him, yeah. Yeah, I mean, the biggest issue here is that you're just not making any forward progress and putting any pressure on them in any way. You saw that trap go down, but you still locked into it. So Ryan's overcommitted. I would be, I guess, not worried about Shatter because he shattered previous fight for the Blade, which is a good Blade. Good Shatter, rather. Great. So I think this is an okay bomb. Actually, I take that back. So as a general rule for bomb, you should use it as a second life. Like, don't try to get bomb kills per se. Play regular, but more aggressively, and then use the bomb to get your mech back. Going for bomb kills doesn't typically work once you get out of goldish, and I think that becomes very, very difficult to get bomb kills consistently. It's much better to simply just fight super aggressively as D.Va, and then re-mech, and then they have to deal with you again for the second time. Looks like you're gonna cap. For the record, it feels like your DPS are doing all the work. You're doing very little, I would say, as tank. All right, yep, follow right in, great. Kill turrets. You can just walk up and melee them. I know it's something that you don't do. You don't melee, as I said, you don't melee very much. They pop beat. That's fine. Just wait it out. Just play defensive, right? I don't even need to stay a card. Like, just play back. Keep your team alive, and then worry about this. Like, the Sim should be priority target #1 because leaving her alive is gonna have her start melting people. Again, don't walk in front of the cart because then you can't get healed. Play the back side of the cart and use it as cover. Oh, this should be an easy kill. The second you saw him trapped, you should have immediately popped missiles. Pop, right? Missiles, you have missiles right now? Well, actually, I guess you need a Matrix, but... Yeah, now you need to... At that point, I would have given up and then flown to the other side of the cart. Because you don't want to get close to the ride. And losing mech here is devastating. Like, imagine if you had bomb right now, and then you would get mech back. So, pretty sure you're gonna lose this fight. Alive for a surprisingly long period of time. You get a kill. But... yeah, you're gonna die and then lose this. Okay, so for the final fight, I would say not having bomb is a big deal. I think not getting picks in general is a big deal. It's like tough because I cannot point to one thing and be like, oh, like this is the reason why you lost this fight. The short answer is you're not actually that effective as D.Va, to be perfectly honest. So like losing your mech is gonna make your life really, really hard. Like you're practically useless outside of your mech. But the thing is, when you're in your mech, because you consistently pop missiles from too far away, or like not anywhere that's actually useful, like this is like fine, I guess. And then once this happened, right, you see beat popped, you should just flown back and stayed alive, right? Fly back here, help your team with the Symmetra, kill the Symmetra, and then re-engage, and then stay on the back side of the cart, and then you're good, right? Because this is a 5-on-3 situation. This should be an easy win. But you take way too much damage there. The Moira is faded, so you could go after the Moira. You would hear the Moira fade. The Moira should die right now. Right? Really easy to burst kill her as D.Va when she doesn't have fade. So this Moira should be dead. She would have died before she got Coalescence. So that's also huge. Absolutely huge that you didn't kill the Moira in that situation. But you don't really have the aim or mechanics to kill people as D.Va, which is really tough because D.Va is a very aim-reliant hero. Right? She's kind of like a tank version of Genji. You really need to know like when can you dive somebody and how to kill them quickly using your cannons and missiles. And if you can't do that, you're gonna struggle a lot to get value as D.Va because she's just not that straightforward of a hero. Okay, cool. So recapping, I would say on Winston, when and where to jump is a big problem for you. And then as D.Va, I think biggest thing that stands out is your missile usage is very poor in the sense that you just pop them from way too far away or not even at any particular target, so you're not getting any value versus popping them up close. Think of them not as like long-range rockets, and think of them like a close-range shotgun, right? Just bursting somebody in front of you. That's the real goal of what D.Va's missiles are for. And your general ability to kind of play around the cart and like game sense awareness is not that great. Like you like walk in front of the cart too much, like you push when you're not that particularly strong, you don't push when your team does have advantages. It doesn't feel like you're even tracking what an advantage is. I suspect you're probably having trouble processing how much stuff is going on your screen. This is all pretty normal, right? If you don't play tank, like this is going to be difficult and require a lot of hours to get into. For example, you said that you're not even done replacements, right? So that means you haven't played 15 games at most. I guess technically it could be 18 games. You have four wins and 14 losses. So you play less than 20 games, right? As tank in comp. I don't know that it's super valuable to get a VOD right now. I think you probably need to grind away for at least 50 games, and I would just pick one hero and just play that one hero for like 50 games and then come back and be like, okay, I played 50 games, now what do people see? Because there's like so much going on here that I can't really pick out like one thing to highlight. I mean, obviously I did pick out like a couple things, but I think a lot of this stuff will clean itself up very quickly if you just play the game more. So that's my overall recommendation is don't fret it, just play a lot more of the game as tank. If you want to get better as tank, just keep playing tank and come back for another VOD when you have a lot more experience. Cool, hope this is helpful.